So students, this is week number 5 and we are discussing factors affecting the counseling process in our lecture number 2 of this week. Let us understand about the highlights of this lecture. First of all, we will introduce our topic and then we will try to understand factors which are affecting the counseling process. And under this heading, we will explore client related factors and counselor related factors, and will also analyze environmental factors or environmental related factors, and then we will conclude our discussion. Now we have to start our discussion with the introduction. The process of counseling is carried out in one-to-one situation between the client and the counselor. It is a well-known fact. Therefore, factors affecting counseling include client characteristics like motivation of the counselor and the presenting problems seriousness, counselor qualities such as empathy and trustworthiness, the counselor-client relationship dynamics, the structure and physical setting of the counseling environment, the cultural and societal factors like norms and socio-economic conditions. Broadly speaking, in the counseling process, the one element is the counselor, second element is the counselee or the client, and the third element which is very broader in nature, that is the environment. We have to consider all the factors related to that in order to gain adequate insight in the process of the counseling. There are three types of factors, as I told you: client related factors like motivation and readiness for change, counselor related factors like empathy and active listening, and environmental related factors like physical setting and cultural context. Now we will elaborate each and everything in every aspect related to the client related factors. And the number one is motivation, readiness for change. Key aspect, okay, the client must be ready to engage in the process of the counseling, must be ready to express change and desire to motivate in the participation. A student's motivation to address their challenges and work towards positive change is a crucial factor in the counseling process. Clients who are actively seeking help and are prepared to make changes in their behavior are more likely to benefit from the counseling process. If the client is not motivated, is not showing the desirable changing, then all the efforts of the counselor will go in vain and the counseling process will not proceed in a positive direction. The first requirement or influential aspect is basically motivation and readiness for change. We need to create motivation and we need to engage in the changing process in a positive manner among the client. Severity of the problem. Process of counseling is influenced by the nature of the problem and its seriousness as well as length of the time. If the problem is of serious nature, then there will be some different strategies to engage or to present intervention with the client. If the problem is of very simple nature, then simply a guidance or a small intervention on the part of the counselor will be ready. Client qualities, which is related to the personality aspects. As we know, appraisal of the individual personality play a very important role in the counseling process. So, a student's age, his gender, his personality types, extrovert, introvert, ambivert, learning style, quick learner, slow learner, cultural background, coming from the different culture, socio-economic status, and individual needs all influence their receptiveness to counseling, and their ability to benefit from them. These factors are basically are either in a negative manner or either in a positive manner influencing the mood of the individual or the client in the counseling process. He may be demotivated or he may be motivated on the basis of these factors. If these factors are positive, he will definitely engage or with high motivation, otherwise his motivation will be at lower level. Factors like intelligence and success in other areas can also influence the counseling process, because intelligence is basically an ability of the individual which is used by the individual in manipulations. Emotional capacity refers to the ability to understand, manage, and utilize emotions effectively, both within oneself and in relation to the others. I must be emotionally stable. I must be emotionally stable in my own personality, and when I am interacting with the other person, it is also an influential factor in the counseling process. It includes the capacity to recognize, understand, and respond to one's emotions as well as those of others. How you are engaged in controlling your emotions, that is called the emotional capacity. Some students are emotionally disturbed, emotionally unstable, but others are having the ability to control their emotions and the capacity to control their emotions. A client's ability to manage and express their emotions can impact their engagement in the counseling process. It is an important factor also. Cultural background, cultural norms, values, and beliefs can influence a client's understanding of counseling and their willingness to participate. Many cultures don't believe in exposing their children in taking the counseling interventions. In Indian context, counseling has not yet accepted as an assistant, rather a stigma. If someone is going through the counseling session, it is taken in a negative manner. We consider that this person is having some mental problem. That is why he or she is in need of the counseling, and we try to isolate that person socially, which further affects on their mental health, and the person leads to many anxiety and other kinds of the problems. Openness to change. It means being willing to accept or consider new ideas, accepting the new ideas, and allowing the individual personality to change is very important. We need to change our perspectives or situations and being adaptable to the different circumstances. That is related to the openness to change. Change is permanent. Nothing is important, nothing is permanent than change. So change is an important phenomena in our life. It implies a flexible mindset and the ability to adjust to evolving environment. Environment is evolving, is changing, and changing at a very fast pace. A client's ability to consider new perspectives and make adjustment is crucial for the success of the counseling. Student experiences, past experiences with the counseling, the trauma with which he has gone, and other significant life events can also play a role in how a student approaches and interacts with the counselor for seeking counseling. Past experiences, if the past experiences related to the counseling process are negative, the person feel reluctant to take assistance from the counselor. If past experiences are very positive, and there are many life experiences which also related to the individual. Counselor qualities. The second important factor is the counselor qualities. After knowing the characteristic features or the factors which are related to the individual, because individual is the focus of any counseling process. His abilities, his capabilities, his perspective, his past experiences, his desire to engage in the process, his or her motivation, and his willingness to achieve the goal and his openness to new ideas and accept those new ideas in his or her life and achieve the objectives of the counseling is the important aspect. If positivity is shown in motivation and desire to change, the task of the counselors become quite easy and the objectives of the counseling can be performed in a better manner. Otherwise, the counselor faces a number of difficulties. The second factor is related to the counselor himself or herself. Counselor qualities. A number of qualities are needed. We will also discuss this topic in detail in later stages of our discussions. But here, I am presenting before you certain important characteristic features or the qualities related to the personality of the counselor, which become instrumental in both positive manner and the negative manner in rendering the counseling process. And these are the empathy, active listening, cultural competency to deal with the people of different culture, that is the cultural competency, and the ability to build a strong helping relationship are essential for effective counseling. The counselors who possess these qualities, they are basically liked, admired and appreciated by the clients, and confidentiality or rapport is developed between the counselor and the counselee. The task of the counseling becomes quite clear with the qualities of the counselor. If the counselor is not empathetic, not having good listening skills, nor having the ability to deal with the students on the basis of their cultural, socio-economic and other aspect, definitely the counseling process will not be able to achieve its stipulated objectives. Counselor must be able to understand the feelings and attitudes of the clients. He should not only have the knowledge of the feelings and the attitudes, rather he must be able to understand the feelings as well as attitudes expressed by the client. That is the quality which is needed for better counseling. Professional boundaries. Maintaining appropriate boundaries and ethical standards is vital for a healthy helping relationship between the counselor and the counselee. Professional boundaries. Maintaining appropriate boundaries and ethical standards means you are not emotionally attached with the counselor. You are not expecting to be influenced by your personality or your advice. There must be certain professional boundaries and the counselor is expected to work in that boundaries. He should not go beyond the limits of that boundaries. He or she has to accept the confidentiality of the students and he has to follow the tricks and the techniques which are permissible in the process of the counseling. Self-awareness. Counselors who are aware of their own biases and limitations are better equipped to provide effective support. If the counselors are well aware about their personality, they are having a better knowledge of their self, they know their negative aspects of their personality, then they will be able to use these aspects in a better manner and they will not allow these negative aspects to interfere the counseling process. Self-knowledge is highly essential for ensuring objectivity in the counseling process on the part of the counselor. He or she should also introspect and get adequate or optimum knowledge of his own personality characteristic features, his professional competencies, ability to deal with the student, his negative and the positive ideas. He should use the positive characteristic features in the counseling process and try to control the negative aspects of his or her personality. Counselor-student relationship. It is another aspect related to the counselor. Okay, these factors become very influential if good relationship or optimum relationship between counselor and the counselee are not maintained, the process of counseling will not be carried out in its real perspective. The quality of the relationship between the counselor and the student is a critical factor in building trust, rapport, and facilitating positive change. If the trust is maintained, that is based and rapport is maintained, and that is based on the counselor good relationship with the student. So maintaining good relationship with the student is highly essential and very important factor. If relationship are based on high moral grounds, high ethical standards, high professional ground, the task of the counseling will be simple and smooth and will be able to achieve the objectives. Rapport is a warm, friendly understanding condition which is essential for effective engagement. If good rapport or relationship are not made, then student will hesitate to express their hidden ideas, hidden problems, and they will not present their perspectives and their emotional behavior to the client, and the client, in absence of true knowledge of the candidate, will face difficulty in giving the counseling. Counselor competency and training is also very important. Counselors need to be adequately trained and possess the necessary skills and knowledge to effectively address a wide range of the students' needs. Professional competency and experience, theoretical knowledge as well as practical knowledge and experience in that field, supervised experience in that field, is the need of the hour for successful achieving the objectives of the counseling. Counselors should be attentive while listening and observing. They should also, that is also related to the professional competency. Okay, his professionalism must be reflected in his ability, in his approach, in his engagement with the student. Ethical considerations are very important on the part of the counselor. Counselors must adhere to ethical guidelines and professional standards to ensure the well-being and confidentialities of the student. He should not express the negative characteristic features before anybody. Even he or she should not share that with their parents and the other teachers also, because those informations are the confidential information, and the base of the counseling is based on this confidentiality. Counselor should not allow his subjective attitude to influence his professional relationship. His subjective attitude, yani objective attitude, rational attitude, and based on reasoning is the requirement. Counselor's communication skills. Relationship building is based on the communication. Communication means you are expressing your ideas, you are interacting with the people, and we expect effective communication on the part of the counselor. Effective communication skills including active listening, empathy, and clear articulation are essential for successful counseling. His voice must be clear, his spoken language must be simple, must be soothing, and the sentences should not be ambiguous in nature, and he or she should be able to express the feeling rather than just communicating the words to the client. Counselor should be able to convey the actual message, that is the feelings, to the counselee for effective counseling process. Physical settings. Now we are entering to the environment or the third aspects of the counseling interventions or factors which are associated to the environment. So there are many factors which are related to the individual, and there are many factors which are related to the counselor, which become instrumental in influencing the counseling process. Now we will explore what are the environmental factors which are influencing the counseling process. Number one among these factors are physical settings. A comfortable, private, and distraction-free environment can enhance the counseling experiences. Feeling of separacy must prevail. Feeling of privacy must frame. Comfort level must be ensured in the physical setting. If the person is not comfortable, distraction are there, then there will not be able to maintain good relationship and getting the actual idea related to that interview or discussion. Counseling room should provide relaxed atmosphere. Ambience of the counseling room should be attractive, should be soothing in nature, and should give a feeling of satisfaction to the inmate. A peace and calm and composed environment must prevail. Automatically his or her problems are reduced as he or she is entering in that room. Not only physical privacy but psychological privacy should be given significance. He must feel psychologically safe and secure in that environment. Structure and initiative. Providing a clear structure for counseling process, including expectations, time limit, and roles, can help client feel more secure and motivated. Environmental factors are also related to the structure. Okay, time limit we are setting, and we are having certain expectations related to that, and we have decided certain roles to the counselor and certain roles to the client, and we feel more secure and motivated in this structured and environment which is based on the initiative. External support systems. The presence of a strong support system outside the therapy can contribute to positive outcomes. Presence of a strong support outside the therapy, I'm talking about many environmental influences in the school conditions. The availability of adequate resources such as time, space, materials, as well as administrative support for counseling programs is highly essential and highly crucial and significant. External support system of the environment. In school conditions, if the teachers are not cooperating, if the non-teaching staff is not cooperating, if the principal is not cooperating and not performing his duties and the responsibilities, and the entire members of the counseling teams are not having a good relationship with each other, then it also affects the counseling process to a great extent. And the whole of the counseling process will be just a program rather than a goal-oriented activity which is designed for achieving certain purposes. Cultural context is also very important. The broader social and cultural context, including socio-economic conditions and cultural norms, can influence the counseling process. Socio-cultural conditions, there are norms associated to each and every culture, and we need to provide cultural context counseling. We have to adapt our interventions as per the cultural context. If cultural contexts are not given significance, it becomes a negative factor for acquiring the assistance from the counselor. Many cultures don't like to expose their children in the counseling process. School culture is also very important. The philosophy of the counseling and the guidance must be clear in the minds of everybody who is associated to the school conditions. The overall school climate, it is also an environment, including its emphasis on student well-being. Okay, what kind of emphasis you are giving, what kinds of programs you are using and exercising in enhancing the well-being of the student, what are the academic achievements and socio-emotional learning environment of the institution, all can significantly impact counseling process. The culture basically associated to each and every activity which is taking place in that schools. there are institutions where the culture of having good relationship between the students and the teacher is present, where the cultural cooperation, coordination, and love and affection is prevailed, where the democratic culture is present, where every individual feels free to discuss and participate in many areas, and having access to the principal, having access to the teacher and other facilities available in that school. It gives a sense of feeling and at ease to the individual, and many of the academic and simple problems are automatically resolved in that free and secure environment created by the school, and that environment is basically called the school culture. Collaboration and communication. Effective collaboration and communication among counselors, teachers, administrators, and parents are essential for creating a supportive and cohesive environment for the student. If environment is not collaborative and communication is lacking among all the stakeholders on all the counseling providers, that is the administrator, that is the counselor, that is the teachers, then definitely it is going to have a negative impact on the counseling process, and an environment which is needed for the counseling process will not prevail, and ultimately the objectives of the counseling will be affected. School policies are also responsible in many aspects in a positive and the negative manner. School policies regarding student discipline, attendance, and academic support can influence the type of issues students face and the need for counseling services. Take for example, okay, there is a discipline in the school, and this discipline is not a forced discipline, rather it is a democratic discipline or social discipline, and students are regularly attending the classes, and academic support is provided by the teachers, and remedial classes are also being provided, and every kind of facilities is provided to the student. It basically gives the support to the student, and students face little difficulty in engaging to the serious nature of their personal nature as far as the school is concerned, or the school is in a position to lower the problems which they encounter at their family level and at their society level, and students feel comfortable in the school environment. Cultural norms and values of the schools are also very important. Societal norms and values related to mental health, help seeking behavior, and gender roles can impact students' perceptions and experiences with the counseling. Cultural norms and values. Value, what kind of value you are giving to helping relationship, what kind of values you are giving to the mental health, means you are supporting, you are creating an environment which is positive and developing a better health among them. Access to resources is also another environment factor. If you are don't have the access to the resources, definitely you are bound to face difficulty. So the availability of the community resources such as mental health services and support network can complement and enhance a schools based counseling program. So resources, there are plenty of resources available in the community, and the counselors need to take the assistance of that in a positive manner. If that support is not available, then the task of the counselor can be difficult. Socioeconomic conditions of the family play a very important and very significant role, because students from low socioeconomic status families may face unique challenges that can affect their academic and social emotional development, requiring tailored counseling approaches. The problems vary from individual to the individual. People who are coming from poor socioeconomic background, poverty-ridden families, they have their different kinds of the problem, different kinds of the issues, and these factors become influential in affecting the counseling process. Now, if we analyze all the aspects, then we can say the three important aspects are associated to the counseling process. Number one is the counselee or the client, second one is the counselor, and the third one is the environment. Several factors can influence the effectiveness of the counseling processes at the school level, including students' characteristics, counselor attributes, and the school environment and broader societal influences. School has an impact, teachers have an impact, environment of the school or democratic environment of the school has its own impact, and the family is also an influential factor, and society is also influential factor in impacting the overall personality or shaping the personality of the student. These factors can impact student engagement, counselor effectiveness, and the overall success of counseling program in addressing students' academic, social, emotional, and career development needs. There are many needs of the students. If counseling process gives significance to these aspects, we are analyzing the factors related to the student and we are providing the facility to give counseling by professionally trained counselors who are demonstrating professional as well as personal attitude which are most suitable for enhancing the motivation and the openness of the student, and we are also controlling the environmental factors. These will be helpful in giving the guidance and the counseling, more particularly the counseling to the student. So students, we have completed with this our lecture, and thank you very much for your patience listening. God bless you all.